Gambling, gaming and grooming. Isn't it about time you asked your children about the dangers of the internet? Too much, too young, and too worried about what their parents will say when they tell them about it. This week, Click takes a look at what bothers children online. London gets its chance to join the maker movement as we explore what geeks can do with a bit of time on their hands. We'll also meet the man who thinks his video games are worth every penny. But how many pennies? Well, that's up to you. All that plus the latest tech news and the most memorable day of your life from every conceivable angle in Webscape. Welcome to Click. I'm Spencer Kelly. Ask any parent and the chances are they'll be fixated on shielding their kids from the horrors of the web. Probably just as fixated as their kids are on immersing themselves in the wonders of YouTube, social networks and online gaming. Now, we assume that children don't have the first clue about what's safe online and that they need protecting from themselves. But do they? David Reed has been looking at some groundbreaking research that's asking the kids what bothers them online.
If the internet were a babysitter, you wouldn't let it anywhere near your house, let alone your kids. And yet we park our children online where they can end up enduring pop-up pornography and violence. Recently, headlines have been dominated by the mushrooming availability of images of child abuse, feeding the fantasies of those who've gone on to commit acts of abuse.
We've got to get the volumes of images down. We've got to get the number of people who are accessing them down. We're never going to do that through conventional police methods. We've got to find new and better technical measures to help. And I think the industry sense that now, and that's a big breakthrough.
Urged on by the government, British internet service providers plan to block images of abuse, while tech firms like Google are donating cash to organisations and developers tackling illegal content. These are real, concrete measures. However, the emphasis on images of child abuse and stranger danger is obscuring other child online safety issues. Researchers at the London School of Economics hit on the idea of asking kids themselves what bothered them online and surveyed 9 to 16-year-olds across 25 European countries.
One of the things we asked was for them to tell us in their own words what upset or bothered them about what they saw on the internet. And pornography was absolutely the number one concern that they had, quite closely followed by violent content.
The research does make difficult reading, children's innocent playtime intruded onto by very adult content. But the news is not all bad. ChildNet, which gives training in online safety, sent me off to Willington Boys School, where I sat in on an IT class.
Save your work, don't worry about that, we'll do that towards the end.
The kids here have had a lot of help with how to negotiate difficulties on the net. They know what they like online and what to do when they find something they don't.
We're going to start going through this tutorial of how to make this game.
Their teacher Luke Curry is careful to point out to the kids that they are never far away from something they perhaps don't want to see.
I knew that one was in control.
Yeah, they understand that terminology of we are just 2 clicks away from seeing something unsuitable. Now that could be anything, that could be nudity, it could be a website that's just too old for them, but equally there's gambling, there's dating websites, all these things they just shouldn't be exposed to.
There are some technical fixes like safer search on Google, or you can turn YouTube's safety mode on. In the end, however, it is really hard to rein in a curious mind.
Sometimes they're looking for something a bit edgy, a bit experimental, and they find more than they bargained for. So I think even if teenagers are looking for something. It doesn't necessarily mean they're ready for what they find.
Next question.
So to whom should kids turn? Parents, friends, if they see or experience something they need help with?
I just close the window and just tell my parents.
If it's something like a rude message that comes up to me and my emails, then I just talk to them and they figure it out, sort it out basically.
Well, it doesn't really affect me mentally, so it's just they know this happens on the internet and they know that just ignore it, just don't think about it. That's what they've told them.
My mum and dad are getting stricter and stricter and stricter, and sometimes when I want to go on Facebook it says page blocked, not for you.
I tend to, if it's rude or something, I tend to just ignore it, to be honest, or maybe tell a parent if it's really bad.
We teach them to tell a trusted adult. Now that could be myself as their teacher, it could be another teacher inside the school, or it could be a parent or a friend, an uncle, a cousin, whoever they trust. Some of these people don't want to speak to their mum or dad about it because it's embarrassing, so they might want to speak to someone more close to their age group, a cousin or an uncle, that might understand the situation and not blow their top instantly, you know.
If they feel the parent is going to overreact, take away the tablet, take away the phone, whatever, yes, they will protect their privacy and they'll protect their kind of communication space, if you like. But they pretty much do want somebody, and most say they would like that to be a parent or a kind of, older sibling that they can tell. And so anything that parents can do to make that a non-judgmental, open conversation is going to be a benefit.
Challenging content bothers younger children, inappropriate contact upsets older kids, but the real value of the LSE's research is in underlining that parents would be hard pushed to ban kids from going online. But young and old alike can talk about it.
David Reed there with what kids worry about online. Now it's over to you, and we'd like to hear from parents and children alike. What concerns you more, content or contact? And you can also share with us what you do about it. Email click@bbc.co.uk. And next up, it's this week's Tech News.
Iran has launched its own national email service, requiring each adult citizen with a postcode to sign up. Many users are worried the service will give the Iranian government easy access to their data and increase its stranglehold on the internet. Iran has attempted to block international email providers and other digital services in the past and imposes one of the world's strictest national internet filters. Peter Sunday, the co-founder of the Pirate Bay file-sharing site, is planning a totally secure rival to WhatsApp and Apple's iMessage. Hemlis, which means secret in Swedish, will use end-to-end encryption, so messages are seen only by the sender and the intended recipient. Sunday says he's making it in response to governments spying on users' data. However, Apple and WhatsApp say communications using their services are already fully encrypted. Hemlis reached its initial £60,000 investment target via crowdfunding in just 2 days. Smart nappies have been developed in the US, which can act as an early warning health system, alerting parents to potential infection before it becomes a real problem. The high-tech undies are equipped with strips with printed QR codes which change colour when the nappies become soiled. Its makers claim, once scanned, the nappies can provide data which warn if a urinary infection is looming. The couple behind the invention are attempting to crowdfund $225,000 via Indiegogo. They'll also need federal approval to get the product to market. And finally, Prince Andrew has become the first member of the royal family to hold an individual Twitter account. The Duke of York's account has been officially verified by the social media site, unlike the many fakes and parody accounts purporting to be his royal relatives. A long-time embracer of technology, according to his spokesperson, the Prince hopes Twitter will allow him to let people know what he's doing.
A lot has been made recently of the big new video games consoles and the big budget titles which are set to push their graphics to the limit. And when you consider that some of these games could cost upwards of £20 million to develop, it's no surprise that players are sometimes charged £40 for a copy. But not all games need to cost a fortune to make. Small independent studios can sometimes come up with the most innovative new games and at a fraction of the cost. The question is, how much would you pay for one? Flashback 10 years and you could be forgiven for thinking that big blockbuster gaming was the future. But with the rise of the smartphone, everyone's now got an indie games console in their pocket. And as a result, the indie games market has exploded. Hits like Minecraft are challenging the big boys, raising a few industry eyebrows in the process. Maybe there could be something to this indie business after all. One company that's flying the flag for indie games developers everywhere is pay what you want outfit Humble Indie Bundle. Their website lets you pick your price for curated collections of indie games. You've got to stump up at least a penny, but if you pay more than the average, you get extra perks thrown in. You can also choose how your money is divvied up between the games developers, charity, and the Humble Indie Bundle outfit itself. And in contrast to the big studios, almost all of the games have no copy protection. They are DRM free. So, with over $30 million in sales so far, it's looking like pay what you want could possibly be onto something. I caught up with one of the guys behind it.
So one of the things that always strikes me with these pay what you want ideas, something that the band Radiohead tried a couple of years ago, you're going to get a lot of people who opt to pay the absolute minimum. Do you find that a problem?
One of the big distinctions between what we do and what Radiohead did is we actually have a price minimum at a penny. And I think what that does is it changes the consumer's perspective. And the first decision node on the site is, am I willing to pay or not? And if they are, the site's all about trying to encourage them to feel good and pay more. And the charities are a really intrinsic part of that. And also, we're super open with the stats. And I think, as a human being, people see what other people are paying and are influenced by that.
The games in your bundle are provided without digital rights management. They're not copy protected. Why did you decide to go down that route?
Our mentality was, if you're not willing to pay a penny for the game, you're never willing to pay for the game. I was just on a flight down to Chile, and I was pretty excited about playing an Ubisoft title. And I bought it on Steam before I left, and I went to play it on the plane, and I didn't have my Ubisoft account set up. And so as a paying customer, I wasn't able to play the game. And that's really the crux of what we're trying to avoid with the Humble Bundle.
Now, when you started including the big titles, the AAA titles, albeit the older titles in your bundles, I'm sure the houses that developed those really reacted against adding any kind of copy protection.
That was a bit of a fork for our company last December when we did do the THQ bundle, and that it was the first time that we had anything with DRM in the promotion.
And I guess it's interesting for the retailers as well, because you're basically asking people what they think it's worth.
Our fan base has always surprised us in their generosity. They always could have paid less, and they always come out and keep on paying well above the average to unlock games.
Will, good luck with it.
Thank you.
Continue being humble.
Thanks.
If you make something interesting and unconventional, the chances are you'll want to show it off. And so-called maker fairs have been popping up around the world to give these tinkerers a chance to set up a table and show us their science. LJ Rich has been to London's first mini maker fair to meet the creative techie types who do try things at home.
Maker Faire is more than a group of people showing off homegrown tech. It's become an international community. 7 years after its inception in San Francisco, where else, it's time for London to host this quirky take on a county fair.
So London's Mini Maker Faire is less of an exhibition and more of an interactive experience. For example, I can't get in until I make my own name badge. So let's get to work.
Yes, not exactly cutting edge, but a great illustration of the ethos behind maker culture. Less about aptitude, more about attitude, and a willingness to join in and give it a try. And with over 1,000 attendees of all ages and pockets, the maker business is booming. I asked one stallholder, here with his homemade assistant Ash, to explain the appeal.
We as consumers buy products that people have solved all the questions for us. They've solved all the problems and packaged it, and we've bought it off the shelf. But sometimes it doesn't do everything you want. And so if you're one of those people who is just a little bit annoyed by that, just get a kit. look online. There's amazing online communities for this stuff.
And there's a definite correlation between making things and making noise. From renovated kids' toys rigged up to make what can only be described as contemporary music, to the vegetable synthesizer. This uses something called a makey-makey device. Crocodile clips at each end, clip one end to the board and the other end to anything even slightly conductive. It uses the Scratch programming language to set the trigger noise. Don't like vegetables? Fine. Banana piano. And here's where the seemingly frivolous becomes relevant. The tech becomes the basis for a customised experience. And the perfect example of tailor-made tech is the 3D printing revolution. There are printers everywhere. This intriguing setup is a 3D printer hooked up to Minecraft, the popular game. And with the help of an expert, we're going to build something.
What this is doing is allowing us to take, in this case, a BBC logo and print it out from the Minecraft world into the real world. It just so happens that Alyssa is quite a bit better at Minecraft than I am.
Once the design is built, pressing a button inside the world makes a file that's tweaked and then sent to the printer. 6 or 7 minutes later, here's the finished version. Downstairs sees the rise of the machines courtesy of the rep-rap community. They're people who use their 3D printers to make other 3D printers. Those lime green bits, for example, have been printed. They also make other things. Today marks their second attempt to 3D print a bust of computing legend Alan Turing by the end of the day.
We've already had one printer overheat, especially because it's so hot here. But we're doing a lot better today than we did at our previous attempt at the challenge, when we only had sort of 3 out of 10 printers working.
Fact is, they could print whatever they want down here with enough printers and material. The culture supports making something fit to one's own requirements. And that has deep implications for where the technology will take us.
The potential to make custom things, like everything can be one-off. No one has to have something that's the same, which is really amazing for applications like medicine. No 2 people are the same. So if you needed a hip replacement, say, your hip isn't going to be the same as someone else's hip. But with 3D printers, you can get a custom hip.
The fair itself is one of 80 planned worldwide this year. And if you fancy organising your own, well, you can even make that yourself.
It just seems crazy, the capital city of our country doesn't have its own Maker Faire, and so I wanted to make sure that we had a Maker Faire here, and I didn't know how to start, so I just emailed out a few kind of people that were might be interested in it. For me, it's learning something new. I mean, I never used to be able to do electronics or engineering or any of these things, and my sort of skill set comes from a creative perspective.
A lot of the trends on show here are homemade, but look past the DIY and you can see the innovation and, crucially, our behaviour around it. Looks like we truly are capable of shaping our own future.
LJ Rich. If she can make it there, she can make it anywhere. OK, on to Webscape now. If you've ever been married, if you still are, you'll know that your wedding day is the most photographed day of your life. And if you can't afford the often expensive wedding photographer, what some of my friends have done in the past is to make an album out of the best snaps that their guests have taken. The problem is getting hold of all those photos from all of those different people can be just like herding cats. Kate Russell has an app for that. Not herding cats, collecting wedding pics, obviously.
Brides always look beautiful, but often it's the informal photos that capture the really precious moments. At wedpics.com you can make your own private space to invite wedding guests to share all their photos from the day, so that you can make sure you've saved the very best of them to create the perfect album to share.
Hey baby, I think I wanna marry you.
Guests with an iPhone or Android handset can download the app and get access to a real-time sharing and commenting network during the special day. Now, it's not ideal to have everybody madly tapping away on their phones throughout the ceremony, but a great way to make sure you can share in the chit-chat afterwards. Those without a smartphone can upload their photos and view the album through a browser. When you set it up, you can download and print invitation cards and posters with instructions free of charge, with some high-quality printed options available if you want to pay.
Who cares, baby? I think I wanna marry you.
For a totally different perspective on life, Google Earth is hard to match. Planet in Action have been experimenting with ways to play with this amazing 3D model of the Earth for years, and have a stunning collection of toys to show for their efforts.
From ship and helicopter simulators to mapping traffic flow or the tides in the oceans. What this company does mashing together other people's immense collections of data is truly mind-blowing and really quite beautiful.
If planet Earth was at the bottom of your head.
I found the shipping sim a little sketchy to control, and instructions are scant to say the least. But this app to visualise the tidal flows around the world using data collected by NASA's Perpetual Oceans study last year is fascinating and beautiful in equal measure.
Imagine you could rid the earth of anyone you choose.
A free Android app, Don't Touch My Droid, takes a novel approach to security by making a loud alarm noise when the handset is disturbed. It's simple to operate, with a collection of fun and abrasive sounds to set as an alarm if your phone gets moved or picked up by anyone while it's active.
As well as being a great security feature, you could use this app to keep your friends in check on a fun night out. You know the type. You leave your phone on the table when you go to the bathroom, and when you come back, find they've texted your boss or set the interface language to Japanese.
You can also use it for extra security in a hotel room by propping your phone up against the door at night, or placed inside a handbag on the floor under your table at dinner. It could alert you if anyone is trying to steal it. It's not very sophisticated, and the alarm is pretty simple to deactivate, but as an instant deterrent to someone not expecting your phone to start shouting at them, it could just do the trick. YouSendIt is changing its name to Hightail to reflect a move away from a simple file transfer service to a more complete cloud offering, with unlimited storage and signatures for premium customers. It's a bold move for a company that's been around since 2004 and has 43 million users. For the time being, though, you can still find them at yousendit.com.
But I know a change gonna come.
And another intriguing automation for your Android was released this week, Snapcat. It's an add-on to the IM app we looked at a few weeks ago and puts a dancing red dot on your screen to encourage cats to tap it and take a selfie. I don't know if my cats are camera shy or just a bit dim, but I didn't have much joy getting them to play. Maybe he's just getting ready for his close-up.
I climbed the pole and looked the tiger in the eye.
Thank you, Kate. Kate Russell's Webscape, and those links, as always, are at our website, along with everything else that you've seen today and our entire archive too. It's a wonderful place to go. bbc.co.uk/click is the address you need. And if you'd like to comment on anything that you've seen this week, then please do email us, click@bbc.co.uk. You'll also find us knocking about on Twitter, Google+, and Facebook too. That's it for now, though. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.